Hi everyone, my name is Sophia and I'm a trainee solicitor at a city law firm, and today I want to talk about 3 things I wish I knew before my Oxford interview. The first thing is, if you mention a book in a personal statement, then be prepared not only to be quizzed about the main arguments in the book and your understanding of them, but also about your opinion about what you read, as well as the wider literature where the book sits. As an example, I talked about The Concept of Law by H.L.A. Hart, and I looked at the connection between law and morality. I looked at the idea of whether an unfair law carries the same obligation for us to obey it. And in my interview, I expected to be questioned about kind of the main arguments in that book. What I didn't expect is for an interviewer to actually ask my own personal opinion and then for them to challenge it as well. And I think what would have been helpful to me is to understand that not only should I have read the book and understood it, but also to see what other writers supported the ideas that Hart explored, for example, legal positivism, and whether there's anyone who actually challenged it, and to see and read their arguments. For example, you could look at Dworkin and to see why did he disagree with Hart's legal positivism. And I think that would have been really helpful to me, because I would have already had an understanding as to the main arguments of that book, but also an understanding of who are the critics and why are they challenging those views and what is my opinion on it, because I only knew one side of the argument really. That's tip number one. The second tip that I wish I knew is, when you have an interview that is kind of a problem question interview where you're given a statute beforehand and then you're invited into the interview and you have an interviewer giving you a scenario and asking you to apply the statute to a scenario and to give your opinion as to whether, for example, the law was broken or it wasn't broken. And it's actually something that you do a lot in law school. Probably half of your exams will be based on problem questions. You'll be given a long scenario and you'll be asked to apply more than one law, more than one statute. So multiple statutes, you'll be applying in one scenario and trying to figure out whether the person is in breach of a particular law or not. So I think it can be quite nerve-wracking at an interview when you're given that scenario and asking to apply it, and you give your opinion, and that's fine. But I think the difficulty is when kind of the extra facts are then added to the scenario and you feel sometimes that you're being either guided by an interviewer or sometimes you feel that maybe you come to a disagreement. And don't be afraid to stick to your answer. You know, if you don't want to change your mind, if you feel like what you're saying, when you look back on the statute and you think, this is what I think, I've applied it to a scenario and this is my opinion, don't be afraid to stick with it and not change your mind. Because I think I felt sometimes, just because I'm being challenged about my opinion, I felt the pressure to change it. And the interviewer only wants to challenge what you're saying, to see how you think and for you to think out loud and basically to persuade them or to justify your view on things. So yes, don't be afraid to stick to what you say and explain it and justify it, instead of straight away thinking, oh no, they disagree with me, I'm going to change my answer and just agree with what they're saying. So that's tip number 2. And the third tip is your communication skills. So I read legal books, I went to law lectures at free summer schools that I've talked about in previous videos. I've done legal work placements as well, but what I haven't had the practice is really having discussions about legal concepts, legal principles, legal ideas. And when I had to explain my opinion in interview, for example, I found it really difficult. My communication skills were definitely not up to standard, and I felt that I couldn't express what I wanted to, because an interview is so much more than just for an interviewer to seek your interest in law. It's also about the skills as well that they're testing, which includes communication skills. You should be able to clearly explain what you want to say, and it can be difficult with, for example, a novel legal concept that you haven't come across before. It's something new, you're not quite sure how to explain it or how to talk about it. So get in the practice of talking to anyone, your mom, your friends, anyone at all. Just take a legal concept or a case, for example, and try to explain it to your mom and dad, to your friend, and to see whether it comes easy to you, whether you need to practice, because that's one thing as well that is being tested, is your communication skills, and it's something that I definitely struggled with so much in my interview. So that concludes tip number 3. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if you have any questions about interview at Oxford, then please just say something in the comments. So thank you.